So, welcome to Moneycontrol, Kunal. Today we have with us the talented jewel of the film industry, Mr. Kunal Kapoor. Let's get talking to him. Welcome to Moneycontrol, Kunal. So,
Thank you.
you've completed over 2 decades, more than 2 decades in the industry now, from
Right.
Meenakshi to Jewel Thief. So,
Yeah.
what's that sharp difference that you see in the film industry nowadays, and what is it for you personally also as a growth graph, if we see?
Well, look, I think there's the big shift, of course, is because of also the OTT platforms and stuff. Is that there is a bigger possibility for different kind of stories, right?
Mm, yeah.
There was when I started off. Uh,
Mm,
I think when I started off, there was a very kind of typical mold that a lot of films were made in.
mm,
I think India was going through a sort of journey where we were moving towards being more aspirational,
mm,
and I think the film sort of reflected that, right? So you had
yeah.
all these films shot in Switzerland. The actors were wearing all these like fancy brands on their t-shirts. It
Yeah.
was all like sort of, and there was an element of fantasy to everything uh,
Mm,
that was projected in the movies. But today, I think the movies that are doing well are the movies that are more rooted,
mm-hmm,
in the cultural ethos of the country, in
mm,
you know movies that come out of rural areas, movies that come out of different states. Because I think as a country we are sort of now shifting towards wanting to be aspirational and wanting to
yeah.
be like the West, to
Mm,
more sort of being rooted into where do we come from,
mm,
what is it that we are about, what are the stories that are important to us, and I think that that's a really interesting shift to see. The other is obviously as an actor, I think when I started, you were expected to fit in.
mm,
You had to look a certain way. You had to have a certain kind of body. You had to
yes.
dance, fight, ride a horse, do all those kind of things, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so it was more about fitting in.
Mm-hmm,
Who's the sort of person that can fit in the best in that kind of mold. But now I think there's a lot of room for the misfits, right? Uh, Even as filmmakers, even as audiences, we're looking for
mm,
that person that we've never seen before, right?
mm,
Uh, for somebody that sort of surprises us in the way they act, or the way they look, right? So we're looking for something that is sort of different and
mm,
unique, and so I think that there's a lot more opportunities for people that are not conventional anymore, as
mm.
opposed to years ago.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. And Kunal, you're playing this role, and you would also agree that post with the advent of OTT, now, as you also rightly said, that misfits are fitting in well. So there's no
Correct.
you believe that Bollywood has done away with the hero tag?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think the definition of what a hero has changed a little bit, though, right?
Hmm.
Uh,
Okay.
the hero was supposed to be a certain kind of person, say 20 years ago.
Hmm. Hmm.
But now I think the definition of what a hero is kind of is changed, right?
Hmm.
We are, as an audience, because you're also exposed to like cinema from across the world. Uh,
Hmm.
you have heroes that are gray, you have heroes that have faults,
Hmm.
you have heroes that can be, uh, virtuous, but you have heroes that can also be morally sort of gray.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think the sort of idea of what a hero is has changed. But
Hmm.
I think that you do need that sort of larger than life kind of persona or character to draw people to the theaters, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Because you want to go in and see this person and you want to see this character in action. And that's what sort of draws you to the theaters, right? So
Hmm.
the definition may have changed, but I think as audiences, we're still looking for the heroes and people that we can sort of look up to and feel like, oh, these guys are really cool.
Yeah. And you're yourself playing a tough cop in Jewel Thief. So what made you say yes to this role? And how is it different from other cop roles that have we've seen over the years on screen? And did you have anybody in mind while you were doing this role?
Uh, I mean, for me, firstly, doing the part was, look, I've always been not cast. I mean, I've always tried to break that. but the most of the parts that have been offered are very similar kind of parts, right?
Hmm.
Right, Basanti, where I was the peacemaker in the
Yeah.
group. I was always trying to put people together.
Yeah.
Right from then, those are the kind of parts that have mostly been offered. Maybe my look lends itself to that, which is more sort of the poet or the philosopher or the keeper of peace, that kind of part. So most of the scripts that have come my way have been those. I've had to choose from those and find the ones that are not similar, right?
Yeah.
Which has been kind of difficult because the industry wants to sort of typecast you and put you into a
Yeah.
certain. But with the Jewel Thief,
True.
it was just a very different kind of part that I was offered. I was just telling somebody that I've traded my poetic lines for punchlines this time, and instead of
Yeah.
spouting poetry, I get a chance to be the tough guy that goes around slamming a few people. So
Hmm.
that's been I mean, for me, it was exciting that I was offered something that was new in a kind of genre that I really enjoy. I mean, I really enjoy heist films, and some of my favorite films have been heist films. So that was obviously one of the reasons that I wanted to be part of this.
So nice. You've been in industry for long, so we've seen you as you said, Aslam and Ramdev Basanti, then fun
Right.
Omi Khurana in your Love Shafte Chicken Khurana. So you've been on experimenting, but then you say that people typecast you also in the industry. So how
Yeah.
do you select those roles? कि मेरे को पता है कि I am gonna do this one. So it is a different role from the X role that I had done in the past, or the Y role that I had done.
Well, it's tough because, like I said, because people see you in a certain way, it
Hmm.
becomes very difficult for them to see you in another way. And the thing
Hmm.
here is that he really wants to take risks, right?
Hmm.
They're like, this works, so let's just stick with what works. Let's stick to the
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
winning formula. Uh, so it's been hard because I mean I've had to pass up a lot of work,
Oh, you did?
which would make me lots of money, or which would mean that I was seen a lot more. Uh, but I didn't want to do it because I just felt like, look, I'm just being offered the same stuff over and over again,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
it has been difficult, but I think I've in between all that managed to find roles that I feel are different from each other.
Hmm. Yeah. And why does Kunal keep himself away for a briefly for a long period from screen? I mean, you've been here, but we see that you're away from the screen. Is it deliberate or what is it? Why?
No, not deliberate at all. I mean, it's definitely not out of a lack of desire. It's
Okay.
out of a lack of good work coming my way.
Hmm.
I was just telling somebody is that, as an actor, the one thing that you want is to be seen.
Yeah.
You don't become an actor to hide, right? You don't become an actor because you want to go away from the audience. You want the
Yeah.
audience to see you as much as possible. But so it's not like uh, I'm sort of being choosy. People keep telling me, oh, you're being too choosy and stuff. It's not like I'm being choosy. It's just that the choice of work that's coming my way is
Hmm.
is not the kind of work that is exciting, right? And given a choice, I'd love to be on a film set all the time. I mean, that's the place I've pretty much grown up on. First as a production assistant, assistant director, actor. So I mean,
Hmm.
it's the place I enjoy the most, right? So given a choice, I definitely want to spend more time being on a movie set and more time on your in theaters and on your television set.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to get the right kind of work for that.
Yeah. And talking about your roles, what's the dream role that you feel that you haven't been offered and you would love to
But
define one?
honestly, I'm writing some stuff,
Oh, okay.
uh,
That's great.
and I think that those are roles that I'm quite excited about because
Mm-hmm.
I, I think I think for me the characters are heroes of the film,
Mm.
but they're flawed, and it's the kind of flaws that make them interesting. I think
Yeah. Right.
they could be physical flaws, they could be emotional ones, they could be mental ones.
Yeah.
But how do you sort of write or portray a popular character
Mm-hmm.
uh, who's a hero, but like
Mm.
a hero that has his own inherent flaws, right? That he's
Mm.
constantly grappling with. So those are the parts that I find exciting,
Mm.
and those are the parts I hope I'm offered more of. And I'd love to do a comedy. I've never been offered a comedy actually.
Love Shabse Chicken Kurana was a bit of a comedy, if you would
Yeah, it
agree.
was more like slice of life, right? But
है
I've
ना?
never been
हाँ.
offered out and out like
Okay.
absurdist, like over the top comedy. I'd love to do one of those.
That's nice. And talking about Jewel Thief, if we come back to Jewel Thief, how was it working with Saif, Jaideep, and how are their working styles different from yours, or the three of you, and how did you? What was the dynamic on the set of Jewel Thief? Now that we're talking
Well,
about
if you watch the film, you'd realize that
it, I've watched it.
I'm
Yeah.
always 5 minutes late. I'm that cop who's like the 80s cop that
Ah.
always ends up after everything's done. So even on set, if the call sheets would say 9 to 3, Jaideep, Saif, Nikita, 4 to 7, Kunal. So we were only meeting each other while coming or going because I'm just chasing them. I'm really not in the film with them, right?
Yeah.
But the little work I've had a chance to do with them was amazing. I think they're both great actors, of course, and they're really fun people to be around. Saif especially is he's such an interesting guy, great sense of humor, and a lot of times what happens with the stars is that you feel like the spotlight should constantly be on you.
Mm.
You know, Saif doesn't try. He doesn't want the spotlight on himself, but he's just such an engaging guy and such an interesting guy that it automatically everyone's attention shifts to him. He has the ability to do that. And I really hope that we can do more work together.
Yeah.
And Jaideep, I think what's really interesting about Jaideep is he's very authentic, off screen and on screen. And I think because he's so authentic off screen, it sort of shows up in everything that he does on screen as well.
Yeah. And you guys make that stylish trio also on screen,
Right.
that we've
Yeah, I think
seen. Yeah.
all of us had very kind of different characters, and we played very different kind of parts, which is why it sort of looks interesting together.
And talking about nepotism, if we talk about, so do you feel
Yeah.
that there's a lot of debate on nepotism? So your thoughts on actors not getting their due on basis merit, and do you think industry advantages that industry connections provide can help you build your career better, or do you think
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. I mean, look, if you're from the industry, you obviously have access to everybody in the industry, right? And usually, more often than not, you start off right at the top. You start off with the best banners, and they give you the best launch that they can give you, right? So it's like taking the lift to the top floor. Whereas if you're from the outside, you got to take the stairs up, right? Which might take a really long time. But once you get to that top floor, I think then people don't really care, right? Whether you're from the industry or not. Then it's only your talent that kind of sustains you, right? Then it's not about, oh, he's a star kid, or he comes from this family. Then it's about like, can this person deliver or not? So the starting point might be very different, but I think once you get to a similar kind of level, then it's really about your own talent. And I think also what sort of happens is that climbing up those stairs, you build an endurance that maybe some of the people that are more privileged don't have.
Yeah. And talking about, you've worked in South also, you'll be soon sharing screen space with Chiranjeevi sir also in Vishwambara. And what basic difference do you find between the storytelling and the production methods and overall working in that Bollywood and vis-a-vis South?
Honestly, I don't look at it as north south, honestly, and it's for me it's the same. I think as a creative person, I'm not looking at it north south east west. For me, it's the Indian industry, and you're working the Indian industry in different cities, right?
Yeah.
That's the only difference. You're shooting in Hyderabad, or you're shooting in Chennai, or you're shooting in Bombay. Besides that, I mean, the only big difference that I found working in the Telugu film industry was that, look, it's far more sort of rooted in one kind of cultural ethos, because what happens is that your script is written in Telugu, right? then everybody on the set speaks in Telugu.
Acha.
And then the movie is shot in Telugu, right? The Mumbai film industry is a confluence of people from all over the world. I mean,
Yeah.
Countries especially.
Yeah.
So you might have somebody who writes a script in English, and then somebody who's from, UP might translate it into Hindi. Then you go on the sets and everyone's speaking English, and then you shoot the film in Hindi. So there's a kind of disconnect in that process.
Yeah.
Whereas in an industry like the Telugu industry, it's all one kind of language, right? So I feel that maybe gives it a slight more rootedness. But besides that, I don't think that there's any big difference, honestly. The same people, wanting to do the same thing, trying to make a great film, coming together, and I think we're in an amazing time because the kind of cross pollination that's happening, with talent from across the industry is great for the Indian film industry, right? Because now we can not only think about India, but we can think about taking the Indian film industry to the world with all these incredible collaborations. And I think it's fantastic. It's a great time.
Thank you, Kunal. Thank you so much for your time. And it was lovely chatting with you.